Under the same moon, we share the love, embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. United we stand in love's pure might. Walking the world, sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in again. Today, we have a great show in store for each and every one of you today. Calvin will be a little bit delayed. One of his family members had a car accident, so he's trying to get some coverage. So he should be here probably within the next 15 to 20 minutes. I think tonight's show will be quite revealing when it comes to this case that I flew all the way down to Texas to cover. Texas is an awesome place. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. However, we did learn so much about this case that we did not anticipate. And tonight, I think you're going to be able to understand it all, as Calvin is a local attorney, criminal defense attorney for 24 years. He knows the lay of the land and so much more. I'm going to drop the link if anyone would like to come up and have some discussion. Then feel free to come up. So I'm going to put the link in the chat. I only ask that you're dressed appropriately and that you remain respectful. So that's the key. And there's the link. So you can come up and join the conversation. There is 2 chats going at this time, 2 videos. There's one that's vertical that works for your cell phone. And there's another chat that's horizontal that works on your television, on your laptop, your desktop, and so much more. So definitely come on in and let's have a conversation. We're going to have some people here tonight that are really versed when it comes to the court system and covering different cases and pulling transcripts. If you have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. But more importantly, hit the link and come on in and let's have a discussion. Do not be afraid. I look forward to talking to each and every one of you. We're going to cover some of the things that have come out in the media today. We also, JLR was recording yesterday, and there was a man that was arrested. So we're going to take a look at that to see why was he arrested. I already see the mainstream media pushing a narrative in regards to that. I just haven't seen it, so I'll take a look and see what it's all about. I see all the comments. I'd like to encourage you guys to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. This video, we had actually started earlier today. I want to see what they're talking about. We're going to take some time. This evening is all about Karmelo Anthony, and there seems to be new information in regards to this matter. Inside information I wish I could have known before I went down there, but we look forward to Calvin Johnson breaking it down. I think it makes a big difference because we cover these cases and you have limited information. And sometimes because of the way we cover it, people say, oh, you're pro this, you're pro that. You don't even know me from the man on the moon. So I don't understand where people get off on this kick. But anyway, let's get to it. We're going to get to our first video to see. I think this is where they actually discuss his mugshot. So let's get to it. Thank you, guys. And again, I appreciate all you do. Let's get to it.
We are tracking the latest with that trial coming out of Texas, where we do have that verdict and sentencing now into that trial, where this coming from Fox News' X account breaking. Karmelo Anthony has been sentenced to 35 years in prison. Anthony was found guilty of murder on Tuesday for the stabbing death of Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet. He will be eligible for parole after half time served. And this case really grabbed the entire country.
So when Calvin comes in, you can definitely tell him he was able to guess it right down to the button pretty much, because he said that he would get they would target giving him 17 years. And so essentially it'll be 17 years. I guess if he's in good behavior, that he may have a chance of re-entering society.
By storm here. A lot of eyes on it across the world. And this is where we want to bring in Kelly Hyman, who is an attorney and legal analyst, who is here to break down the latest with us. Kelly, thank you so much for being with us this morning. So can you break down the arguments of both sides here for us when it comes to the prosecution and defense as well? Which of the prosecution's arguments really could have been the deciding factor here for the jury?
The prosecution brought the case and they have the burden. What that means is they need to prove each element of the causes of action. And so the charge was murder. And for the prosecution standpoint, in order to prove that, they must prove that defendant intentionally or knowingly killed another person or intentionally caused them harm. Intent is really key. From the defense standpoint, they don't have to prove anything. They just have a defense, and their defense was self-defense. But ultimately, based on the evidence presented by the prosecutor, the jury came back and convicted him of murder.
And we do have here this ex post with the Fox News US where it shows the new mug
Okay, so here's his new mugshot. All right.
shot. Karmelo Anthony, photographed after conviction for murdering Austin Metcalf in the Texas track meet stabbing last year. The fatal attack happened in April 2025 at a high school athletic event, and Anthony has now been sentenced for the killing, and this is credited to the Collin County Sheriff's Office. So we know.
All right, I want to take a moment while we're waiting on Calvin to come in. We have a new crowd here tonight, so let's see. If you think he was guilty, put a guilty in the chat or a 1. If you think he was not guilty, put a 2 or not guilty in the chat. Let's see what you guys think in regards to this matter. Let's see. Go ahead and put it in the chat. All right, so Louise says not guilty. Okay, wow, a lot of people are voting. It's hard to even keep up. All right, let's see here. We have Robin says not guilty. Okay, we have Siad says guilty. Linda says guilty. Plaid says guilty. Ajax guilty. John Stevenson guilty. Bev Wright guilty. Colorado guilty. Jeff Springer guilty. Okay. Grumpy, I remember that from last night. Grumpy says 3-50-50. Thank you, Grumpy. Sonia says not guilty. Bad Mama says not guilty. All right. Anita says guilty. Mostly guilties here today. Okay. Tanya says guilty. Auntie says guilty. Okay. The twin says not guilty. Observantly Curious says not guilty. JC Talks, welcome in. All right. JC says, Mel, I'm going to have to get a membership. I missed your live earlier. That's a good live. I think I probably went in a little too deeply, but it is what it is. You know, I went all the way down there, so I think I had the right to speak my mind. Lorraine is saying not guilty. Okay. Okay. All of the revolution not is guilty. Okay. All right. We have Charlie says guilty. All right. True Court Crime Junkie, welcome back, says guilty. Stella says like, share, and subscribe. And you know, I'm not clicking on the names. I'm sorry. Okay, we have Nemaya says not guilty. Okay, Remedy. I knew you would say not guilty. Good to see you. Miss seeing you at the courthouse. Louise not guilty. Okay. So we have quite a few guilties here. A lot of guilties. A lot of guilty. Burn Tree says rot in jail. Okay. All right. Very good. Blue says not guilty. We have a lot of people voting. Man, we had like 100 people. Okay. Elia says not guilty. Okay. Some people are double voting. Okay. Mad Sam says not guilty. Okay. Kaya says Austin told Anthony he's not fighting him at school, and bam, stabbed him. Just that fast. 35 years isn't long enough. Okay, thank you for giving your viewpoint. All right, guys, we have to restrict it to one vote because I see some people have voted like 5 or 6 times. I get the point. Deborah says guilty. Okay. All right. P Tang is back. It's good to see you. P Tang says not guilty. Stand your ground. All right. Thank you. Big Brother Trucker says mistrial, self defense. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Not guilty. Okay. Big Brother meant to say not guilty. Okay. So let's see. Robin says, I would think manslaughter, not murder, but then I don't know all the facts. Okay. All right. We have Elizabeth in the building. Michael says guilty as charged. Elizabeth says guilty, not premeditated, not intentionally, but guilty still. Okay. Danita says guilty. Brian says reason to think he's not guilty. Okay. All right. Thank you. I think there will be a lot of reasons because a lot of people are saying not guilty. All right. We have Natalia says wasn't in the courtroom, didn't see no evidence. Okay, no comment. Please, guys, just stick to one vote. We're going to cover so much material tonight. It makes it hard. It clutters up the chat, but I appreciate the support. Spiritual Gangster says, I think he was guilty of something, but I think it was a case of fear and intimidation. Okay, what was that thing you think he was guilty of? You think it was manslaughter? Okay, I have to look out in case Calvin calls. All right. All right. I get it. So we're going to get back here. We're going to finish out this video and I want to show you guys the fight, but stay tuned. All right. Do a poll. I have to wait for Calvin to come to do a poll because I didn't get a chance to put it out earlier, but a poll is coming once I get Calvin talking. So sit tight, guys. You'll see a poll. Typically, I have a poll up. Deborah says, if the other young man had the knife, he would be guilty. All right, that's a good point. Okay. Brian says, why would a teenager be carrying a knife in the first place? That question was never answered in court. And that was a very important question to have answered because that's what everybody wants to know. Was not answered. I was there. They did not really answer that. So let's see here. Remedy says, if Austin didn't want to fight, he would have put his hands on him at all. Okay, so you're saying that Austin was the aggressor? Garcia says the justice system did its job. Okay, lock him up. Okay. All right. King Cooper says guilty. Carmela isn't soft as Charmin. Okay, thank you very much. Guys, we're waiting on Calvin. There was an accident. He's a criminal defense attorney. He's going to be dropping some good information tonight. There's been some new developments, new information coming out. So I'm going to let him navigate that. But until he gets here, okay, we have Calvin Johnson in the building, guys. All right. So we won't look at the other videos, but we're going to bring on Calvin. I want to thank you guys. Please hit the like button, share, and subscribe as we welcome Calvin to the stage. Not sure. Here we go.
Mel, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed. How are you, Calvin?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Can't hear you.
Go out and come back in. Maybe you'll be able to hear me then. Guys, just give us 1 minute to get Calvin in so we can hear his thoughts on the matter. All right, we're going to give him a minute to come in and hear his position. And definitely hold your thoughts. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Hopefully some of you will come up on the panel. Here we go, Calvin.
Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, very good. All right, so I hope everything is okay. I know you had a little issue with your family member.
Yeah,
Oh boy, let's see. This is going to be a challenge here. Calvin, if you can hear me, you can go get set up, and then come on the show at your office. We can't hear you, Calvin, if you're there. Okay, so I think we need Calvin, just be patient with him and let him get to his shop. I think he's on his cell phone, and that's the issue. All right, so let's see if he tries to come back up. I'll admonish him to go and set up in his office. That way we can hear everything. I see a lot of people here tonight. Thank you very much. It seems that there's so much interest in the case involving Karmelo Anthony. Definitely a case that I will never forget. You know, I've already went through so many facts in regards to this case, things that I observed while I was in the courtroom. So I'm not going to bother going through all of this process, but we will have Calvin come on and tell us a little bit of more insight in regards to the background of the case and also share some concepts. Now, here's the thing. In regards to this matter, he's going to appeal his court case. I know someone mentioned that we should not mention things that would hurt the case. We wouldn't do that. So, on top of that, let's see. Wow, we have some tough comments. Somebody said, I blame his asshole parents. Okay. All right. So the night is off and going. I see a lot of people are here for the smoke. And the smoke is coming. It's in the air, folks. Jeff says, my question, do they not have metal detectors? One of the kids testified that they somehow walked through security. So that made me wonder, how was a knife brought into the premises? But again, the attorneys in this case, they left so much to the imagination. But one student toward the end of the prosecutions, I heard it. I was in the courtroom, guys. I sat through this case. I heard all the witnesses for the prosecution. And I walked away feeling like I knew a lot about this case. Okay, Calvin is back. Let's see. All right. Calvin, are you there? Calvin? Okay. No, Calvin. Calvin, can you hear me? Oh boy. Okay, let's try this again. Sorry, guys. Just sit tight. We're trying to get Calvin in. There was an accident that he's trying to work out, and it seems that he's having trouble. Let's see. No, Calvin. All right. So hopefully, Calvin, I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second. I want to tell him, okay, we're trying this again. Let's see. It looks like he's here. All right. Let's see.
It's been a crazy day.
Okay. So,
Can you
Calvin,
hear me now?
yeah, do you need time to get
I
to a
can't
better
hear
location?
you. One more time.
Oh my God. Let's see here. So Calvin's family member had an accident today, so he's out on side the road trying to assist them. So let's see what this means. I'm going to see if I can get him on the phone and tell him to. Yeah, how long are you away from your actual shop? Because we're not going to be able to get you this way. 10 minutes? All right, thank you. We'll catch you there. That way, it's no problem. All right, thank you. Good. All right, guys. So there we have it. Calvin is going to head to the office, and therefore we can hear him much better, because the information he's going to break down, I think, is going to be eye-opening for the watchers. And thank you guys for being very patient. As you know, things happen. People have accidents every day. It just so happened to be a family member to Calvin. Deborah says, prayers up, Calvin. So, Calvin, if you're watching, a lot of people are sending some love for your family member as well. Let's see here. We have Michael says, when people are being held responsible for their actions, this country try to be a better place. Okay. So there needs to be some sort of responsibility. Take accountability for your actions. Okay. We have Younger says, another victim added to the list of people who have been hurt by the institution's desire to destroy the moral strength of the Black American community. Okay, thank you for your comment. There's so many comments coming in. So now that we've surveyed everyone in regards to guilty or not guilty, put a 1 in the chat if you think 35 years was appropriate. Put a 2 if you think not. And then if you don't agree with either, you can just state in your comment what you think he should have received. So let's just see we're trying to get a pulse for where everyone is. Anyone commenting twice, unfortunately, we're going to have to remove it because so many people are trying to get their expression. And I'm trying to go through it tonight. We're taking it slow because this is very important and there's so many hostile people, and I'm here for it tonight. So we're going to see what the conversation's all about. No Fly Zone says the 35 wasn't appropriate. Okay. McClaster says not appropriate. Okay. My Wave says let's stay home. No rioting. I don't think there's any riots. Remedy says it was not appropriate. JC Talks, my good friend from court. No, not appropriate. Mad Sam, not appropriate. Okay, very good. Somewhere, not appropriate. Linda. Okay. Chuck, not appropriate. Brenda, not appropriate. Tanya, not appropriate. Shantae, not appropriate. Okay, welcome back, Shantae. Junior Mustang says appropriate. Okay, first appropriate so far. Lorraine, not appropriate. Gabriel, not appropriate. Okay, Mashona says, hey guys, while we wait, tap the hearts. Okay, thank you very much, and the thumbs up. Thank you for the good support. Bad Mama says it was not appropriate. I'm shocked that no one has hit the link to come up and talk to me. Folks, do not be afraid. You can come and talk to me until Calvin arrives, or you can ask your questions. I was in the courtroom. If you have some questions, if you don't want to show your camera, I'll let you slide tonight. But if you want to, you can hit the link. There's 2 streams going. So all you have to do if you want to enter, I think you have to go to the horizontal screen. So come out of the vertical. Am I right, Stella? They have to go into the horizontal stream in order to come on the show. But there's the link, and all you have to do is hit it and come in. Okay. The twin says violence is being pushed. Elizabeth says 35 years is way too long of a sentence. So why do you think they gave him 35 years if you feel that it was too long? The altar girl says it was appropriate. Okay. Michael says 35 is fair considering 25 is considered life in about a lot of places, I think. Okay, very good. Grumpy is in the building. Grumpy is in the building. Come on in, Grumpy. Talk to
I'm
us.
coming out with you, Mel. I'm not afraid to show my face. I mean, the whole world might be scared of it, but it's okay.
All right. Yes, indeed. Grumpy, what is your position on this particular case? I know what it is, but I want you to just say it for conversation's sake.
I think they overcharged the kid, just 100%. I don't think it was, there was no malice, no premeditation. I think they overcharged him.
You said there was no malice, no premeditation. Okay.
Yeah,
So
I think it was just 2 hot-headed teens, and it got overdone, and somebody ended up, I think they overcharged the kid.
you think they overcharged him? Okay.
I do.
All right.
That's
What made you think it was not premeditated?
because the knife to me is irrelevant. That's I don't know how many times we've been kids. You've gone fishing, you put something in your backpack, you don't think about it, you don't remember it. Big deal. The knife to me is irrelevant. I think that the knife was discovered during the altercation, not it was brought to the altercation.
Okay. So why do you think the defense didn't bother to explain to everybody why he had the knife on him?
Because to me, it's kind of an irrelevant point. I mean, he had the knife was used, so they just used that because it was at a school function, and they made the whole thing about it being a school function and trying to make an example of let's stop school violence. It's
Right.
I think he got bent in the whole incident. If it would have been in a parking lot, a movie theater, a mall or whatnot, the poor kid probably would have got lesser charges. But since it was at a school, they overcharged him.
Right. Do you think the argument about whether or not Austin was aggressive or approaching him, do you think that's relevant in this case?
I think between the 2 teams, I think they were both hotheads. I think they're both to blame. I think there's no innocent party. I'm not going to pick sides on it. Both teenagers were to be blamed. They're both at fault.
Right. All right. Very good. What stands out to you in this case from everything that you've heard? I'm pretty sure you've listened to a lot of different platforms and whatnot.
I mean, I'm kind of agreeing with a lot of platforms that, that people need to take personal responsibility, and certain other groups around, people are overblowing this out of proportion and making it more than it was, and they're trying to make it, you know, they're trying to cause more harm out of something that was just an incident between two people, or you know, and I think people are blowing this way out of proportion.
Right. I heard today that some individuals were arrested in regards to inciting, I guess,
Violence.
or yeah,
I mean, that is a crime. You can't just go out and say you're going to burn down the world because you're mad at something. I mean, you know. Well, that's why I said about in front of the courthouse. Everybody in front of that courthouse that was inciting violence should have been arrested. They shouldn't even been allowed. That's no longer freely protesting. That's inciting violence. People
right,
are screaming, threatening people. You know, I get it. People are up in uproar, but why cause more issues than need to be caused?
right. All right, I want to take a look at something. Maybe perhaps we could just sit back and check it out. Let's see what's happening here. Guys, JLR, my good friend, he recorded this, so we're going to check it out. We have someone else. Oh, Remedy has joined the panel. Remedy, welcome in. So we're just going to welcome in. We're going to check out this video. I'm going to mute you, though, okay? All right, good deal. All right, so I heard this guy was arrested. We're going to check it out.
And they talk that shit, they got no heads to back that shit up. I bet you don't. I bet you don't. I bet you, come on, boy. Come on, boy.
Put your phone
Hey,
down.
dead ass.
Y'all hear that, police? They call mutual conflict over here.
Damn right.
All right, put the phone down. You ready?
Damn right.
You ready?
I think my shit's still healing from the
Oh,
hospital like
come
you.
on, now. Here you go.
What's up, boy?
Oh, these niggas just...
So, guys, I really hate to do this, but I know Grumpy, I know you typically hang around with me throughout the duration, and also Remedy. So I'm going to bring you guys down. We're going to reconvene because Calvin is here and he's on a limited time schedule. All right. So I'm going to bring him up, and I hope you guys can come back in and we can do this when the first part of the show stops. All right.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. Calvin, welcome in.
Hey, apologies, everyone. My stepdad had an accident, but he's okay now. He's gonna be okay. So we got him situated. It's unfortunate, but at least he's okay. God is good, and so we're gonna get him. He's okay. My sister's gonna go over there, and then I'm gonna go over there in an hour. They're just gonna make sure, check his vitals, but he's doing good and make sure he was straight. So I'm ready to talk about this case, Mel.
All right. So, Calvin, you're right there in Dallas. You've seen a lot of these cases. You told me all along that you felt he was going to get some time. And you also said you felt he would get the same amount of time, roughly, that Austin was living. Can you just expound on this?
I felt like one of the reasons why I kind of felt like he was going to get some time is it was very concerning for me is that when you have a case like this, first of all, it's out there in Collin County, which is not the easiest place to try a case under these circumstances. But more importantly, and I try to tell people this is not my opinion. This is how these things go. When you are going to claim self-defense, if somebody pushes you, you are allowed to retaliate. Let's get that clear, right? What you're not allowed to do is to, in most cases, like use a deadly weapon to retaliate. So if somebody pushes you, you're not really allowed to be able to use a knife, a gun, or stick in your retaliation. Now, if somebody's bigger than you, sometimes that can change the game. Maybe you can use that particular item against them. But even then, you would be able to only go so far with that particular weapon, right?
Yeah.
But if somebody allegedly pushes you and your response to that is to stab them in the heart with a knife, that's going to cause you a problem. Now, everybody is going to say, well, Calvin, What if they were beating on him? What if they had ganged up on him? What if they were surrounding him? What if they were all bullying him and jumping him? That would change the dynamics, right? Can we all agree that that would change the dynamics? It would change the dynamics, except for what? We didn't receive any evidence that any of that was happening. Through this case, a lot of us assumed that Austin and his brother and maybe a few other people ganged up on Karmelo, and that because he was in that tent that maybe a bunch of them bullied him and drumped him and did all of this stuff. But I think we kind of made an assumption, right, of what happened in that tent. And my concern was, first, because I do education law, I knew you could not bring a knife onto a campus or a facility where a school competition was going on, right? So if you bring a knife to a facility like that, that's problem number one. And then if you use that knife to have something like a fight or an altercation happen and that particular weapon is used to actually take someone's life, now I got this item that's not really supposed to be on the campus or the educational event facility, and it is used to take someone's life, right? And y'all have to excuse my background. I had to kind of improvise today. Well, that's the concern that I have. So not only did you have the knife there, you have an alleged pushing, and you have a stab to the heart. Now, it seems to me like everybody made the assumption that there was more than a push, that there was a jumping and some of the other stuff that had happened. We have no evidence that those things happened. The only evidence that was put before the court for the most part was about 11 or 12 people, am I correct, that walked in and said that Karmelo was pushed by Austin and Karmelo, because he was pushed, stabbed him in the heart with the knife. Now, that's kind of what the majority of Austin's teammates said. Now, we can come up with all of these other scenarios where they were bullying Karmelo, where they jumped Karmelo, maybe even where they even said, like on my other show, where maybe they did the football move where they kind of jacked him up. But we don't know that because Karmelo's defense, for whatever reason, did not give us enough evidence that those things happened, right? In addition to that, we didn't get to hear from Karmelo's mouth exactly what happened. And so my concern for this was, if you're going to use a knife, if somebody allegedly pushes you, I'm going to have one or two things. You're going to have to tell me there had to be more than a pushing. You got to prove that to me. You had to show me why you were so in such a bad position that you had to use a knife and stab that young man in the heart. If he was doing more than pushing you, then I'm going to have to try to understand that. And I can understand that if you show that to me. I thought that that was going to be hard to show to somebody. And in this situation, it wasn't really shown. So I thought that that was going to be very hard to do, number one. Number two, the problem that I had with it all was you were going to have to show us why you had to go to that level in terms of stabbing somebody to the heart with a knife over a pushing. Most people are going to say, if you push me, I can push you back. Even if you push me, I can maybe sock you in the jaw. If you push me, maybe I can even kick you. If you push me, I can't stab you in the heart to cause your death. I think a lot of people were going to have a problem with that. And then you have jurors who live regular lives. And I try to tell people, you got to be thoughtful about this particular situation, everyone. People that live their regular lives, that don't deal with students, that may not deal with these particular situations, if they have an altercation with somebody and somebody pushes them, their response is going to be like, okay, if somebody pushes me, I can push them back. In their minds, they're not going to say, somebody pushes me, I can stab them in the heart with a knife to be able to kill them, right? So even the way that the law is written, you are allowed to kind of respond in kind. Somebody pushes you, you can push them back. Somebody punches you, you can punch them back. If you feel like your life's in danger of imminent threat, bodily injury, or death, you can respond with things that can cause imminent bodily injury or death. So if somebody, let's say, pushes you and starts pounding you to the ground to the point to where you think you may die, or somebody is going to jump it on you, or there's multiple people on you, yeah, you might be able to use a weapon. You might be able to get away with it at that point. But in this particular situation, you, the defendant, are going to have to, in most situations, tell that jury, that is the kind of pressure I was under. The defense in this situation, without calling Karmelo, really attempted to try to do that, and that wasn't really done well. And it was because they really didn't have the witnesses to be able to do it. And if you don't have the witnesses to be able to do it, then you have to call your client. Now, I said some stuff about calling your client, and then I had to really go back and think about that. Why wouldn't they call their client to testify? And I thought about, typically the client's not experienced. Maybe he doesn't want to testify. Maybe there are other issues. And I started to think about the other issues when it comes to young people. And without going into this too much, today's young people, they do a lot with cell phones. They jump on social media and those types of things. And so I kind of thought about that for a minute. I thought about that might have been an issue. I thought the fact that people like Karmelo, they're not experienced at answering questions, that might have been an issue. People like Karmelo, some people like that, even hyperventilate or can't handle the pressure of being questioned. So that can be an issue. But more the social media, the cell phone kind of stuff, in my cases, that has really hurt me in a bunch of cases. I had a young lady that I'm currently dealing with right now. And I tell you, when they gave me the discovery, her social media and her cell phone stuff from the night of the incident, oh my God, killed us. So sometimes it's one of those 2 or 3 issues. I'm not saying exactly what it is, but sometimes it can be those types of things. So I had to go back and think about that. But if you're going to claim self-defense and you're not going to testify, you are under the 8 ball, you're behind the 8 ball, and chances are you're going to have a hard time winning that case. Because 2 things are going to happen. When somebody dies, his family's going to come in there and they're going to cry. Mom's going to cry, dad's going to cry. Brothers and sisters are going to cry. In this situation, classmates are going to cry, right? Then they're going to put their case on. Then you get to put your case on. And let's say you bring in 2 or 3 witnesses and the jury is listening to all this and they're watching this, and all they know, because you didn't testify, is that he pushed you based on what he's saying, and you stabbed him in the heart with a knife and you killed him. And the jury, that's all they hear, and they see that the family came in and they're crying, they lost their son, they'll never see him again. And you don't testify, you bring 2 witnesses in, they don't know exactly from your standpoint or point of view exactly what happened. They know that it might have been self-defense based on what's being put out there, but they're not for sure how you're claiming your self-defense, they're not going to not let you testify and just walk out of there. They're not going to let you get up, sit there the whole time, not say a word, and let you walk out of there. Now, everybody's going to say, hey, the racial component, I understand that. Us as African Americans, we have got a bad shake in the criminal justice system. Let's be real. Look at all those exonerations that happens. Come on, y'all. Y'all know. But let's be honest, you still have to do what you can do. If you're going to claim self-defense and not testify, when somebody lost their life and you're going to put yourself in front of a jury and they're going to parade mom, dad, brother, sister, and about 15 kids that are just graduating high school and they're crying and they've lost their teammates. They've lost their loved one, boyfriend, best friends. And you think that a jury is going to let you just walk out of there and they don't even hear your voice after sitting with you for 7 or 8 days and you're claiming self-defense, but they don't even get it from your mouth? A lot of people can disagree with me, but I'm going to tell you, based on my 24 years of experience in doing this, most juries are not going to walk you out of there. I don't care how good at you are at picking them. I don't care what color they are. It's not a color thing when it comes to that. Now, we have some struggles with Collin County because a lot of us are not going to end up on the jury out there. And I definitely understand about a jury of your peers because you would like to see people that look like us on juries, especially judging us, because there's certain nuances about being African American that you want to be taken into account when you got somebody judging you. But with that being said, whether the jury is black, white, or brown, if it's your kid that got stabbed and somebody's claiming self-defense and 12 people saw it and said it happened a particular way that were the closest, two or three other people saw it, but they saw it from a distance and they were not really clear about what they saw. And all these people testify and the person accused doesn't testify, but I got the same story from 12 folks and I have a dead son. And then the person who did it doesn't even testify. Do you think it's fair to walk the alleged defendant killer out of the courtroom? If it was your son, you wouldn't want that to happen. So that's why I say what I said. And I was concerned that was a major issue in this case.
Okay, so she's asking, why didn't Karmelo speak?
There could be a number of issues, maybe why Karmelo didn't speak. Some young men like that are afraid to testify because they're not used to speaking in front of large groups of people. Sometimes they have some things to worry about. Maybe they told one story one day and another story the next day. Maybe they're afraid that they're going to be cross-examined too toughly or thoroughly. I even had recently, like I said, I had a young lady hire me, and then she told me one side of the story about what happened this night, that this girl got beat up and hurt severely. And then when the DAs got with me, they said, Calvin, come here. Look what your girl did. And I said, what? Look at her social media. She taped the whole thing the entire night. Look what she did. Look at her phone. We took these videos off her phone when we took her phone. I said, what? And what had happened is they had on social media taped a bunch of stuff. They had taped their whole night of whatever they had done to the girl that night. And so there's been a lot of issues with our young people and social media, videos, popular culture, So sometimes that can be an issue for some of these young people. So that might be a reason why he didn't testify. Um, Sometimes it's just those types of things. It could be those types of things, or sometimes they don't think that they can withstand the heat, and they want the attorneys to try to go and get the information in another way.
Okay. All right. Was there a plea deal? I guess that's what somebody's asking now.
I don't know if there was a plea deal offered, but I think that's tough because with all of the public relations stuff that happened, with the people that they had doing their public relations and all of the, hey, he's innocent and all this, I think they kind of painted themselves in a corner early. And so that's kind of tough. So so maybe that family or that uh, lawyer and that family decided that they were not going to seek a plea bargain deal. Maybe the state decided they were not going to offer it based on the information that they had. The state's going to look at it from a standpoint of, well, we just got a pushing and you stabbed him. You're not able to do that. I don't think self-defense is going to work. So maybe they offered him a high amount of time and maybe he turned it down. I don't know if it's going to, if they offered a good plea bargain deal, or if they offered one at all.
Do you have any idea why Hunter did not take the stand?
I have no idea. I just don't. Typically, one or both sides would subpoena him. But sometimes you have positives and negatives on both sides. So let's say if I call Hunter and he has some stuff on his background that the defense might be able to use against him. So you're like, you know what? I'm not going to subpoena Hunter because he got some good, but he got some bad. And the defense may say, yeah, I got some negative stuff on Hunter, but you know what? If I put that boy up there and that jury connects with him because he gets up there and breaks down, that jury may side with him and then we lose the whole case, right? So sometimes there's a balancing act on both sides, whether you want to call Hunter or not. And I think both sides had some concerns about calling him. I think the state may have been concerned about some other things that he had going on. And the defense, even though they might be able to use them to change and swap some things up, there may have been some concerns about if he connects with the jury and breaks down, that's an automatic loss for them. So sometimes that can be the situation.
Okay. Here's the question in regards to will an appeal be worth it in this particular case?
It just depends. He can try to appeal it. But one thing I do know, when you decide not to testify, they ask you a bunch of questions to make sure you're sure you don't want to testify. That's going to be tough. You can try to argue about the exclusion of the witnesses, not the witnesses, the jurors, where they got rid of the 3 African-American educators. But that's going to be something that a lot of people are going to point to. But I think that when that happens, if you can find a race neutral a way to get rid of those educators, then you can actually get past that. But I think if I'm an appeal attorney, I argue that. But with that being said, sometimes people don't want educators on juries because if you get an educator, they're going to be leading the room. And if they end up siding with Karmelo, then they may pull other people to side with Karmelo. So they're good if they side with you, bad if they don't. And so that might have been of the rationale of why they didn't want the educators on there. That's at least what they were saying. So I think if you try to do an appeal, I don't know how much that's going to help. At the end of the day, if you're not going to create another situation where you show more than somebody pushed you and you stab them in the chest and kill them, then what are we doing? If you're not ready to create a situation where you tell everybody a different story or a whole story, or at least hear Carmelo's voice about what was going through your mind or what happened when the altercation happened, and it has to be something serious. It can't be, well, he pushed me, so I stabbed him in the heart and he died. That's not gonna fly. And whether people agree with me or not, I could care less. That's just not gonna fly. It's not the way the law works. Pushing someone and then stabbing them in the heart, you're gonna get found guilty and you're going to jail if you do it. So I think that we gotta look at that as well.
Okay. E-Juice is asking why they didn't call security, probably talking about Karmelo.
What do you mean why they didn't call security at the track meet?
I believe so.
I said it's a track meet. A lot of stuff's going on out there. A lot of the runners are getting ready to run. Security's usually at the front. They're not usually running around the venue. It was not an all-white jury. I think that I was told, Mel, how many people you were in there? There were 3 Asians, 2 Indians, a Muslim person, right? And who else?
Yeah, about, I'd say 3 Middle Eastern. One was a man. There was about 4 Asian women. And then the rest was a mixture of white people, men and women.
And so the jury wasn't even majority were white. So let's go over some of the fallacies. It wasn't an all-white jury. And actually, it wasn't even a majority white jury. So let's get that out of the way. Let's get rid of some of the fallacies and some of the falsehoods. The second falsehood, let's get rid of the picture circulating that says Austin Metcalf, Austin Metcalf's dad is in the picture with Greg Willis and John Roach. That's a lie. The reason why I know it's a lie because I know Greg Willis and I've worked with John Roach before in the past because he's a judge and I knew him as a private attorney as well. He's not in those pictures. That's just a bald-faced lie. And it's very unfortunate that somebody was sharing that because it's misinformation. Now, if an injustice happens, hey, call it out. But to put some pictures out there that are just false and it's not true, we shouldn't be doing that to people. You know, that wasn't right. So to put that picture out there saying that Judge Roach and Greg Willis is in that picture, I was like, where? I've seen these people for years. They're not in that picture. So that was very unfortunate. So that's a falsehood. Some of the other maybe falsehoods of it is there wasn't a 5.5-inch knife. It was more like a pocket knife, which is about 3.5 inches. So that's another falsehood that was out there. It wasn't a giant knife. So there are some of the things out there that we needed to put to the side. The other thing is Karmelo randomly went into the tent and didn't know anybody. It's pretty clear that based off of the testimony that he knew this guy named Eddie, and Eddie knew him. And there were 30 pictures, probably or more, with Karmelo and Eddie. And Karmelo and Eddie's family had hung out before, and Karmelo actually had dated Eddie's cousin before. So Karmelo had a reason outside of the rain to actually be under the tent. So those are some of the things that we want to clear up. And what Spiritual Gangster said, why does it seem like the defense did not fight? They didn't bring a lot of character witnesses or mental expertise on his state of mind. Was they all working together? Just don't seem right. You can't use character. You can't do character bolstering in the guilt innocence part of the case. You can only do that doing sentencing, character bolstering. You can't bring a bunch of character witnesses doing the guilt innocence part. So the rules of evidence don't allow that. Okay, so you can't do that. Are you going to be his lawyer in the appeal, Mr. Calvin? I don't do appeals. The appeal lawyers are different. Let me explain to you. Most of these appeal lawyers are kind of like bookworms because what you do is you get the transcript and they go through stuff with a fine-tooth comb to do a lot of research and they try to find mistakes. So appeal lawyers are a lot different. Somebody said, I'm sure he didn't get life in prison because they felt like he may not have meant to kill him, but to stab him. I didn't think they were going to give him life in prison. I felt like that if he got convicted, they would give him a substantial amount of time. I felt like at least the amount of years that Austin had been in the world, I kind of had guessed 12 to 20. But they gave him a lot more than that. I was actually surprised by the high number that they gave him. That was a lot in my eyes. But when you go to trial in a murder and somebody gets killed, you never know what you're gonna get.
Okay. So Calvin, let me ask you this real quick.
Sure.
The first witness in the court case, as I sat there, was the video expert. And they had about 4 monitors in the courtroom that I observed. Actually, there was 2 here. Actually, it was 5 because they allowed the people sitting, the family where they were sitting, there was another monitor. They showed us a video of how Karmelo came into the stadium, how everything developed. We took a break. We came back, and they had put one television in front of the jurors, and all of the attorneys went and sat beside the jurors. They would not allow the audience to see this video that the video expert had, magnified. Why do you
Mhm.
think? Why do you think they didn't want us to see the video? We saw all the other videos.
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, we could
hmm.
hear him saying that he highlighted Carmelo and he walked out. The only thing he didn't highlight was what
Mhm.
happened under the tent. And so the defense says, so why you didn't highlight what was under the tent so we could see what was really happening and who was moving? And
Mhm.
he said, the prosecution didn't ask me to.
Mm. That's weird. But once again, I think as a defense team, you got to make sure that that happens, and you got to ask for that to happen. Because one thing I heard that, if I'm correct, I think the Collin County was paying for Carmelo's lawyers. They were not using the go give send money for Mr. Howard, if I'm correct. I was wondering about that. I'm not for sure because at some point, I'm not for sure.
Okay.
Do
Let
you?
me,
I need to figure that out because I know at first Howard was hired. Then they were claiming they couldn't get the money through the go give go send. I need to figure that part out because the reason why I asked that, you can spend money on experts, right, Mel? You can spend money on experts to do that kind of stuff. And I think that if you don't have those expert witnesses and the state has them, I think you're putting yourself at a disadvantage, which means the state has no responsibility to get their expert witnesses to do stuff to help your case.
okay. Here's another question for you. When they went to watch this video,
hmm
they left Carmelo sitting at the table by himself. He has this issue where he shakes real fast and
Uh-huh.
he's fidgeting a lot. The judge is just staring at him. Was it a bad idea to just leave him sitting at the table by himself and the jury just seeing him sitting there? Is not a big deal?
I don't think it's a big deal. They probably didn't even think about it. When you say and ask you where he just shakes real fast, was it cold in there or what was going on?
No, he has epilepsy. It came out in
Oh,
court, so maybe
okay.
that has something to do with it. I'm not sure.
Okay. You know what? See, that's another thing. Okay. If that young man has epilepsy, for me, that's another reason why I would want him to testify about what he was thinking about uh, if somebody walked up on him. But there had to be a really good reason for him not to testify because I would want to know that, number one. But they probably had no choice but both of them to go over there to look at the video to make sure everything was right. Um, did the jury know he had epilepsy?
Yeah, it was stated in court before the jury.
Okay. I don't think
Opening
it's a big
arguments.
deal.
Opening
I,
arguments.
I don't think it's a big deal. But that's the part for me. It was like I would want the jury to know if I'm the defendant that, hey, my epilepsy played a part in me thinking about what I did. Maybe that's an angle that a lot of defense attorneys take. But for me, not to put him on and not take that angle, there had to be something serious to keep him from off that stand, to not take advantage of that. So there must have been something there.
Okay, so here's another question for you. Usually, when I heard the term voir dire, it's
Mhm.
for the jury selection.
Mhm.
I've never heard it in New York, but what would happen? The defense would be showing Eddie a photo, and they wanted to show him first before they, I guess, show it to everyone else, right?
Mhm.
So they would show it to the attorneys, and the attorney would say, "For this one, I need voir dire." And then the attorney, the prosecution would approach Eddie first. So what does that mean?
They want to make sure that, number one, that the photo is authentic sometimes, as well as there's nothing in the photo that's going to be that could identify anybody else, or that could be harmless, or that could prejudice the jury. You want to make sure that other outside stuff doesn't get in. Sometimes people try to sneak stuff in on you, so you want to make sure that that doesn't happen.
Oh, okay. I see. I understand. A lot of people are making a big deal about this GoFundMe because they say the family came in looking super fresh with a lot of name brands, and some of them were actually saying, "Look at them; they're spending that $1 million, right?" Um, do you think that that's? What do you think about that? Do you think that had a play on why he received 35 years?
Did they come in can I ask you a question? I just want to know. Did they come in looking like fresh with a lot of designer label like stuff on a lot?
Yeah, they looked amazing.
I wouldn't have. In America, you can dress how you want to dress. My clients, when they came in looking like that, they would have been dressed basic. The women would have been wearing black, blue, or gray, navy. They would have been very basic, very clean cut. There wouldn't have been any designer stuff, designer bags, any big logo, Louis, Bally, Balenciaga, none of that. We're not doing any of that. I think it will put the jury in a bad light to them, because it looks like, because everybody knows you got this money from this give go send stuff. It looks like you're profiting off of a tragedy, and I don't think that would look good, just in case we lost. And not only that, even in the guilt innocence, it's not a good look. So typically, I try to keep my clients very basic. Even when we go to trial, we don't do anything flashy. I try to give them white shirt, black suit, white shirt, gray suit, white shirt, gray, a navy suit, black tie. We don't do anything super fly. That wouldn't have happened if I was representing them. I would have been like, no, we're going to be very basic today, y'all. Everybody.
So
It's a bad impression on the jury, I think.
okay, so we start off with 587 jurors. How in the world there's no black jurors involved?
I'll break this down for y'all, and this is the biggest part of the show that I really want to get into. A lot of people don't understand how this works, right? They fill out jury questionnaires, right? And they'll ask a bunch of questions. It's a jury questionnaire. So let's say the range is 5 to 99 years. They'll ask everybody in the jury, can you consider the minimum if it was appropriate, or the maximum if it was appropriate? Most black folks don't want to send somebody to jail for 99 years, right? Would you say that? Most of them don't.
Right.
So in a situation where 574 people and in a jury room in Collin County, I would say maybe 7 to 8% of the voting population in Collin County is black, maybe 8%. Let's say it's 11% of the population in Collin County is black. So let's say 10, 9%, 8% voting is black. So let's say 8% of that 574 comes out to about 60, 70 people. Let's say 65 people. When it comes to the 99 end of it, when they ask, will you be able to consider the highest range, which is 99 or life? I would imagine if there's 65 black people in there, 55 of them are going to say, I can't consider the maximum. On their jury questionnaire, automatically they're going to be kicked off because they can't consider the maximum which is allowed by law. Then they ask questions about police interaction, uh, confidence in witnesses, or interactions with law enforcement. And most African American folks, they're going to either have a negative interaction with law enforcement, or they're not going to trust law enforcement, or they're going to grade law enforcement not as high as they would somebody else. And so what happens is on those questionnaires, they get marked down again. So now, if there were 65 black jurors, you got rid of 55. Now you got rid of another 7 or 8. Think about that. So remember, I said to y'all, we started with 65 black jurors, right? You got rid of 55 on one question. You got rid of 77 on 2 or 3 other questions. You got about 3 left. They got rid of the other 3 on that challenge. So think about it. That's how you end up getting rid of. We don't know how to answer questions on these questionnaires. We got to start paying attention. If you want to stay on the jury, hey, sometimes grade law enforcement a lot higher. Tell the people when you fill out these questionnaires that you consider the minimum or the maximum. Tell them you can start law enforcement on the same level as everybody else. Tell them you've had some positive interactions with law enforcement sometimes, because if you don't do that, they're going to get rid of you.
Also, in the case of Sean Diddy Combs, some of these other cases, there's videos, even Luigi Mangione. So they start off by asking the jurors, have you seen the video? And that was a big one for Sean Diddy Combs when Cassie was getting beaten. A lot of jurors fell off of that. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, because if you've already had previous knowledge of what happened, if you know too much about it, then you've already had a preconceived opinion. And if you saw too much, that means you can't have a balanced, fair opinion before you hear all of the evidence, and so they can get rid of you for that. So if you saw the video, then you can't be fair, they can get rid of you. And then sometimes they can get rid of people. Like if you had somebody killed, if you've seen somebody killed before and it has affected you and you can't sit for that kind of case, sometimes you can get rid of yourself for that. So there's a number of ways that you can get rid of yourself, and there's a number of ways doing that questionnaire as well as the jury selection process that you can get they can get rid of.
Okay. Does a representative of the family really matter?
I don't like doing that. The representative of a family, I don't need any of that. I just don't believe in all of that. Honestly, to me, the family should stay silent. They shouldn't even be talking. I don't think you need a representative of the family. I think you should let the lawyer do the talking, and the lawyer should talk minimum at best. I don't think there should be a bunch of press conferences. I don't think there should be a lot of talking. If I'm on a case and you're working with me, that's not going to happen. There's not going to be a bunch of press conferences. There's not going to be a lot of side talking. The family's not going to be saying a lot. We're going to shut up and we're going to be in our corner, because we're not going to tell the general public or the state where our mindset is. And I'm not going to give my case up in some press conference. In addition to that, when you have these other individuals that come in, they're not your client. They're not protected by privilege. There may not be attorney-client privilege with your PR person. In addition to that, your PR person isn't an attorney. So I don't allow non-attorneys to tell me what to do when I'm working a case. You're not going to. I don't care who you are. The minute a non-attorney tries to tell me to do what to do in a case that I'm handling, then they got to go, or I'm going. I've been taught that.
Do you think it was fair? I don't know if you can answer this. Is it fair to say that this turned into a race issue?
I think it turned into a race issue. And I think a lot of it may have turned into a race issue for I wouldn't say for them. It seemed like more of a race issue for the general public. You know, it seemed like everybody, and I hate to say it like this, everybody seemed that they projected their situations or their past or their fears or what has had happened to us as a people or what's going on in America right now to this case. And I'm not saying that they didn't have a right to do that, but I think a lot of that happened here. And I don't know if that's fair to Carmelo. I mean, should he be carrying the water for that? Was he prepared to carry the water for that? Was he legitimate enough to carry the water for that? Did he even want to carry the water for that? I mean, I don't know. That's a lot.
Right. So can you just give us an idea of what happened to Carmelo after they sentenced him? So he was found guilty. They laid out the 35 years, but how does that work? He goes to jail, goes to prison. How does this all work?
He typically sits in Collin County Jail from anywhere from 2 weeks to a month, and the Texas Department of Corrections comes to pick him up. They don't even tell you where they take him. There are a number of different units across the state of Texas. They typically will not take you to a unit close to your family. So usually they'll take you anywhere between 5 and 9 hours away from where you're at. And they have units all over the state of Texas, and they will place you in one of those Texas Department of Corrections units across the state of Texas, one of those units. They send you to usually a pre-holding facility, and then they'll send you to one of those TDC units. And those units are very difficult to deal with. Most of them do not have any, air conditioning.
What? Man.
Yeah.
That's not, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's tough. It's even worse in Louisiana.
What about
they don't have air conditioning. They put you to work.
That's what I was going to ask you. They do hard labor. What does that look like? Can you break it down?
They don't put hard labor on you in Texas, but in Louisiana they put hard labor on you, and they don't have air conditioning. Yeah, Texas and Louisiana is tough, man.
Will he go into a cell randomly, you think, or some people say because it's high profile, he might be segregated?
They might put him in a segregated unit initially because they don't want anything to happen to him because he's so profile, but eventually he's probably going to go to the general population. But he's going to have to be careful because he's accused of knifing somebody of another race, and the prison situation is very racial, very dangerous. You got prison gangs, you got different prison gangs, you got prison gangs from different cities, you got Mexican mafia, you got Crips, you got Bloods, you got Tango Blast, you got the Aryan Brotherhood, you got some bicycle gang kind of guys up in there, Mexican mafia, you got MS-13 in there. You got all kind of different gangs in there. I mean, it's a mess. So it's a lot.
So the fact that he's 19, does that play a difference in any of this?
No, it does not. They consider him a grown man. And the part that hurts, I think, the most is that when you put the racial lens in all of this, it's not something that for him, maybe you don't want him carrying that when his life is on the line. Maybe he didn't even want to carry that. And I think a lot of people made it about that. And I don't know if that helped him. I think that might have hurt him. And it's just very unfortunate.
Wow. That's interesting, man. That's something to think about. Because he will be appealing, they wouldn't keep him local, so he would be around the same courthouse.
No.
The
appeals kind of happen. They don't need him there to appeal. The appeal mainly is on paper. It goes on, did they violate this right? Did they violate that right? Did they do this and that? A lot of that is getting the transcript and finding if mistakes were made in rulings or particular questions or particular situations.
Okay, Grumpy has a question for you here.
I have a question for Calvin. Apparently, CNN legal panel said there was some weird part of the case where they could appeal it down to a 2-year sentence. I have to take a look into that. I'll have to take a look into that for you. I'll look at that and take a look into it. But right now, I'm not clear on that right now. I didn't get to see everything. Is it true? It was first manslaughter, but elevated to murder because of a simple statement of touch me and see what happens statement. I don't think that that's true. I just think that it was murder. And then if it's something else, it was going to come out in the wash. Don't stab people because your little boy feelings got hurt. That people, there you go with your comments. It is what it is. What else? What other comments? Putting up an identical twin for the defense would be a complete devastation. Yeah, you don't want to put you probably didn't want to put the brother up there. That would cause a problem. I mean, because he could cry, and then that might be the end of the water for you. I heard that there could have been an educator of another race on the jury. There could have been. I'm not for sure. Wasn't what they're an adult there to watch these kids. You're right. You know, I was talking to a coach this morning, Robin Castro. Great question. I was talking to a former high school coach, and he said, Calvin, these coaches, when I had my kids and we had a track meet, I ran a tight ship. I told my kids, you can't go over there to the other tent. You can't be around these other kids. And so that's what they would do. You couldn't be around these other kids. You couldn't do this other stuff. So they made sure that happened. So you can't do that. So that's why that coach said, well, I ran a tight ship. I made sure that my kids didn't go over there to do any fraternization. We're in the meet. It's our side and it's their side. And we didn't do any of that cross mingling.
Yeah. And also in this particular case, just for the testimony in court, Coach Starr said that they always have one coach at the tent, but this time he ran out to get a crock pot from the car.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when it happened too. So
okay, I get that. He might not have. I see what you're saying. I don't think it tended to stab at the heart. I think it just stabbed, and that's where it landed. And that very well might be true. And see, this is the thing of him not testifying. When you don't testify, you don't even get to say that. And so that's a whole nother thing. When you don't testify, you don't get to say that. It's another case of a black oppositional defiance. White people can't tell them anything. It's an excuse to crash out. There you go. You know, you got people with these kind of comments. Here you go. He's a murderer, Tommy Kamei. Hey, everybody has a right to opinion. It's America. There is no race card, just injustices toward the black race. Everybody has their opinion. Once again, there we go. It wasn't intentional when he provoked him, knowing he was about to stab him. So there we go. What else is that? Texas is corrupt, including this man. So I guess that's what it is. I'm not hearing anything that is changing our minds, seeing this was a case that wasn't fairly ran. I always tell people, when it comes to these kind of cases, I or no one else is here to change your mind. I think that people are going to feel the way they feel about it. But I also think that there needs to be a base level understanding of what's going to happen when certain things happen. When you're in a situation moving forward, if you have a son and he gets in a situation like this, you better believe if somebody pushes him in the shoulder, he can't stab him in the other person in the chest. You better not tell him he can do that and claim self-defense. You got to learn. So I don't care if you agree with me. We got to learn if people. We got to learn that, yeah, we can defend ourselves. And I'm not going to hamstrung anybody for defending themselves. And I don't want everybody to jump on here and agree with me. But You can have your mind about it. I always tell people, attorneys are here to give you advice. It's always up to you to choose to take that advice. At the end of the day, it's your decision. So if I come on here and tell you, hey, you're not allowed to use deadly force if somebody pushes you in the shoulder, and you go out there, use deadly force because somebody pushes you in the shoulder, that's on you. If something happens where you go and decide, hey, I feel the way I feel, I'm going to do it this way, regardless of what Attorney Johnson said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a situation where I'm not going to testify and I'm claiming self-defense. I'm not going to tell my story when I'm claiming self-defense. Well, that's kind of your decision. But you have to learn from this case, and you have to learn when you have somebody in front of you, like myself, telling you that we can't do what we did in this situation here. When a situation like this arises, number one, let's start A. Let's see what we can do to fix this, right? A, during jury selection, everyone, answer the questions properly. Be balanced in your answers. Don't tell them that you can't consider the full range. Don't give out bad opinions about law enforcement on the questionnaires. Number two, if you are going to claim self-defense, most of the time, if you're going to claim self-defense, you're going to have to be ready to testify. And if you're going to claim self-defense, please understand, most of the time, you're going to be allowed to respond with the same force that was used against you. Any additional force is going to require an additional explanation, okay? It's going to require additional reasoning and an additional justification. If you can't give that additional reasoning and justification, you're going to have a problem. If you're going to claim self-defense and somebody dies, chances are you're going to have to testify. If you're going to claim self-defense and somebody dies and you don't get on the stand, chances are you're probably going to lose. The other thing I want people to learn, watch your social media. More importantly, watch the social media of your children. Our children and that social media is killing us, y'all. When I say our children's social media is killing us, y'all, it is really, really hurting us. Because what happens if you go to trial, they're going to grab your children's social media. Sometimes they're going to grab your children's cell phone messages, right? And when they do that, I've seen guns, I've seen drugs, I've seen gang, I've seen images, I've seen sexual images, I've seen racial text, I've seen terrible rap songs that should not even be considered real rap. I've seen just all kind of stuff in these cell phone messages, videos. I've seen people show drugs, guns, all kind of stuff. And so when your son gets in trouble and your daughter gets in trouble and they pull their social media and your son is up here doing this and he got the guns, I'm gang, I'm pow, I'm about that life. I'm running up on the plug. No, we got
Would
to
that
stop that.
would that affect, you think that would affect someone getting on the stand possibly?
Yes. Because think about this. These people don't know you. And evidence of your social media and all these videos on your cell phone, that's evidence of who you are. And I'm going to tell y'all one thing, right? And this kills me. And I'm going to tell you, I'm Calvin Johnson, right? Calvin Johnson was raised in the hood. I grew up in the hard streets of Bonton and Dixon Circle. If you're from Dallas, Texas, everybody knows those are two of the 3 or 4 roughest neighborhoods in this city. And those 2 neighborhoods don't even like each other. And I'm from both of them. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't understand for the life of me. Kids that are raised in suburban environments that want to be hood. They are raised in Rockwall, Frisco, Plano, Allen, McKinney, and they have $200,000, $300,000, $500,000, $600,000 houses. They can DoorDash. I mean, they got clean restrooms, brand new carpet. There's no grout in the tile. You know, the tile in the restroom's clean. The basketball courts got nets. There's no graffiti anywhere. They got real grass in their yard. I mean, there's no broken glass anywhere. Their street lights work. I've never understood why somebody that grew up in those environments wants to be hood. And I'm telling you, as a lawyer, for the last 20 years, I've had so many instances where I get these kids that were raised in those suburban communities that they mama worked hard and moved them out of Dallas to the suburbs. And all they want to do is come back to Dallas and get in trouble or act like the people that were in Dallas in the hood, even though they grew up in this very nice hood neighborhood that their mama worked hard to put them in. As a community and as a race of people, my Black people, we really got to sit down and talk to our kids. If you're able to move them to a nice community, you need to teach them that they're blessed to be out there. They need to be from out there, and they need to quit trying to be hard and trying to be gangster, because when I look at these social media videos and these cell phone videos and all of this stuff that people are doing nowadays, it is killing us in a lot of cases at the courthouse, because I'm dealing with a lot of that right now. What else? So said Mel was boots on the ground in the courtroom, has not reported. The video showed Karmelo being the initial aggressor. It's important to know that Mel has reported for the integrity of his channel. What does it say?
So basically, she wanted me to expound on who was the aggressor in the situation, or was it Karmelo from the beginning?
No, based on what you're letting me know, Mel, and you saw it, you could tell that it was Austin basically putting his hands on Karmelo first. So that's just what it is. But with that being said, Karmelo is actually able to respond. He's just not able to take a knife to nobody's chest and be okay doing it. And that's the problem.
Do you think it was the fact that the knife was in the event period that caused him to get such, time?
I think that's part of it. When I talk to people about this case, one of the things that I notice is the general public, a lot of us minimize the knife, right? They really minimize the knife, like, oh, it's just a knife. A lot of people don't minimize knives. I mean, it's a knife, and it's at a campus or a school event. And some people don't like to minimize the knife. Now, it's a knife, right? But a lot of us, it seems like a lot of us that I talk to kind of minimize the knife. I'm like, nah, you can't minimize the knife, especially when it was used to cut somebody in the chest, stab somebody in the heart, and end up killing somebody. So I think that one of the things I think we got to be careful about when a jury looks at a case, okay, we're here for a murder, right? How did the person allegedly get murdered? They got murdered with a knife, with a stab to the heart. at a school track meet. So the jury is going to say, well, why did somebody have a knife at a school track meet? And why did they have to use the knife to stab somebody in the heart at a school track meet? So you're going to have to explain to them what the knife was there for. Why was the knife out? Why did he have to use it? And why did he have to use it in a way that actually killed someone? To be able to effectively do that, you got to testify. To me, there's no effective way that you can get that information in without testifying. And if you're not able to testify for whatever reason, which I think it seems to me Karmelo may have had some other issues, then you're in trouble. So that's what I think about that. And I always try to tell people, listen, a lot of us are going to say, well, there's still nothing that you said have changed my mind. I've had to accept over the last couple of days that I can talk until I'm purple in the face. And about 40 or 50% of y'all are not going to change your minds. The only thing I can hope is that you learn something from this. So some of this stops and our children and no children get placed in this position ever again.
Calvin, we also have that girl Henny looking to come up to chat with us. So
Come
when
on
you're
up, bring
ready,
her
we're
on
gonna
up.
bring her on up. All right. So she's coming in. That girl Henny. Are you there? Okay, maybe she stepped away. That girl Henny, you
No,
there?
I'm here. I'm sorry. I was muted.
Okay, no problem.
Hey,
Go ahead.
hey, Calvin. Hey, Mel. How are you? Long time, I know.
Can you
Yes,
hear her?
I can hear her. Can
I can't hear her.
Uh-oh.
Oh man.
You want me to go out and come back in?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we'll give her a minute. All right, Calvin. There's a comment there.
What comment is there? What does it say? Oh,
Says
the
the
90s
nine.
hip hop is romanticized to be a thug. I get that. And I'm going to tell you, the 90s hip hop scene was romanticized to be a thug. And I'm going to tell you, unfortunately, I lived it for real. I wasn't a thug, but I lived around thugs, like real thugs. Like real thugs. So I understand that era. I mean, there was a lot going on there. Social media has lured and eroded national and emotional empathy in our young people. I think that's true. I think that's true for a lot. Social media has. He got 35 years. He might have got that long, right? 99 years if he had testified. Who knows? If he had some other issues, that might be true. He might have got probation if he stabbed him somewhere else and Austin lived. That could be very well true. The law states I failed to retreat and couldn't argue self-defense. Sometimes self-defense doesn't require you to retreat. It starts in the home. That's true. That's another conversation I'm going to have. And I got to be real careful about this one. I'm going to get myself in trouble. Golly, Mel. I don't want to say this.
Go ahead and say it, man. They want to know. Go on and say it. They're begging to know. So
Okay, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Men, we got to get more men in the home. And we got to have men be allowed to do what they need to do with these young men. Some of our young men are over mothered baby too much. And then that's a problem because this world ain't going to hug them. This world going to want to punch them in the face. This world wants to punch them in the face. And we got to start, you know what? I'm going to tell y'all this. When this verdict came out, for example, I was over in South Dallas going into a boxing gym, training facility, and we mentor a young group of men. And I had decided to sponsor a young man and to sponsor his training. And so I went in and met with him, and I was able to sponsor his training for him. And he thanked me, and he was in there working hard. And I'm going to tell you how life works itself out. I hate to try to kind of go into this parable, but I got a call later on that afternoon. and it was from about somebody I grew up with. She said, Calvin, thank you for sponsoring my son. And I was like, sponsoring your son? Who's your son? I didn't even know the young man that I was sponsoring was the son of somebody I grew up with that needed some help. And it made me smile. And the young man gave me a firm handshake. And he was in there sweating, doing push-ups, running. And the trainer, who is one of my guys, who is also one of his mentors, he's really about accountability in there. And we get these young men that are between the ages of 13 and 17, and we mentor them. And we are hard on them. We're about accountability. We're about showing up on time. We're about cleaning up after ourselves when stuff is done. We're about firm handshakes. We're about controlling your emotions. We're about holding each other accountable. And you got to have a man to teach a man to be a man. There are certain things that men teach men, and there's certain things that women teach men, and there's a balance there. There are certain things that a man needs from a woman, but there are also certain things that a man needs from a man. There's also things with girls that a girl needs from her mama, and there's also certain things that girls need from their dads. So to everybody that's out here and everybody don't got the perfect situation, if you ain't got a two-parent household, cool, find some mentors. If you have some extra time on your hands, go be a mentor. We got to get into our children, especially these ages from 12 to about 17. We really got to jump in there and grab those young people, because that's where we're losing them.
So, Calvin, I have a question for you. So when these things happen, is it typical that the prosecution goes and basically look at the social media and look at the
Oh, hell yeah.
phones and everything of these kids that get arrested?
Oh, hell yeah. They do it at the heartbeat. And they got this phone program called Cellbrite. And see, back in the day, you used to have your code.
Curtis?
They got Cellbrite. Now, they grab it. They grab everything out of there now. May take them a while. They're going to crack your phone. They're going to put everything out of there. All your TikTok videos, all your gun videos, all your rap videos, all your gang videos, all your Crip set videos, I'm throwing up the set, all that. They're going to pull them up.
Now, will that affect your ability to stand your ground or testify at court?
It could.
Good.
It could. A lot of people, it does, because when you get up there and say, oh, I've never pulled a gun and I've never have any weapons. I never would. Then they pop a video talking about your gang, talking about who you gonna kill. You got the gun pointed at the string like this, like my finger. What you gonna do? Yeah, I get all of that. I get all of that in my videos. And I'm gonna be honest with you, our kids are the best at it, man. Look, nobody can outdo us. Like, I mean, I'm telling you, I know a lot of it is cap, or they be capping. But man, we cap with the best of it. But I'm telling you, boy, nobody can out gang us, outgun us, out floss us on the internet. But we the best at that.
Calvin, can we try to get Henny to ask her questions, see if she can hear you or talk? Henny, you there?
I'm here. Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, hey Mel, hey Calvin again. It's been a long time.
Hey, how you doing?
So my question is, because being that we don't know a lot of the information, would an appeal actually hurt Carmelo at this particular point in time? Because I don't know how true it is, and I don't believe Mel wasn't there the day that this incident happened, when the defense started putting on their case. But they had gone on a break, and they were supposed to be back at one time, but they ended up not going back for like 2 hours and some change. And it was reported that when they entered into the courtroom, both sets of parents were there. The DA, the defense, Carmelo, and the judge were in there in the room. And when they went back, the defense rested when they were supposed to move forward with the case. So is it possible that there's something that they did not present at trial that if they, well, apparently they did appeal is what I heard, but could whatever they didn't present at trial come out on appeal and hurt?
We may have lost her, but I can answer the question. I think we can anticipate what she was going to say and the rest of that. There may have been something there that probably would cause Carmelo a problem. And so you got to be careful. And so they might have thought about putting something on, but it could have caused them a problem. So that's probably what it could have been. They probably thought about putting some stuff on and realized it might have hurt them more than helped. So that can be the situation.
Okay, can you hear me now? Like, can you hear
Yeah,
me
I can
again?
hear you now. Yes.
Okay. And then the other part to that was whatever didn't come out at trial, could that then come out on appeal and hurt his chances at appeal?
Um, Whatever didn't come out at trial, when he say come out on appeal, um, I think it's the appeal is going to be limited to what happened at trial. Any outside information would have to kind of happen if he had another trial. And but what I think can happen is if a lot of stuff leaks about maybe why he couldn't testify or some of the things that were done because of A, B, and C, that could hurt him. So with that being said, and that hurts him, that could be a problem. So that's what you got to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions, like you said, because from the outside looking in, I don't want to speak on anyone, but it's just looks like there was no defense that was given at all. So what are the odds of them possibly filing for a mistrial? Is there anything that you see that could get them a new trial that happened? Possibly.
I don't know. I think because when you don't testify, because a lot of people, even myself, said, well, why he should have testified. There should have been a bigger defense put up. And I had to really go back and question, well, why didn't they call him and why didn't they do this and that? And then I started thinking and I was like, oh, I remember this case I had once and it made me think back and I took a whooping that day. But the reason why I took a whooping is because I had a client that had that had allegedly committed a murder, shot into somebody's house. And while prepping for the case, there was potentially other stuff that could have came out that could have gotten him additional charges, and there were additional problems by me asking certain questions that could have came up. So the more questions that I ask kind of would create more problems. You understand what I'm saying?
I got you.
And so for me, in that particular case, it kind of handcuffed me because the minute I put up too much of a fight,
Mhm.
I started to go into areas that could potentially cause my client other problems.
Mm,
And these problems were big problems.
okay.
And like they could have multiplied his problems. And I was just like, God. And so I hate to say this, but because I've seen this attorney before,
Mhm.
and he doesn't perform this bad. The co-counsel in that case, Mr. Shook, is so good. I would list him as one of the 5 to 10 attorneys that if I got in trouble, I would hire. So
Gotcha.
for me to say that, and for him to be on that team and not make sure that that guy got called, I really had to think about it and say, well, there had to be something else going on.
Right.
And there got to be something else going on.
See, and I'm asking you these questions because I watched the case, I followed the case, and I spoke. You know, my thing was because I wasn't there, I tried to be cautious with the
Mm,
coverage I gave on the case because I'm not there firsthand. And I'm
mm,
getting everyone's information, and that's how I'm gathering. And a lot of information that I've given has come out to be untrue, right? And people are asking me these questions, and I
mm.
felt comfortable asking you because while there's a lot of lawyers out there that are speaking, and it's no offense to them, a lot of them are not Texas lawyers that I'm watching. You know, they're in
Exactly.
other states or they do other kinds of law and they're speaking on this. So I'm just trying to get out the questions that have been asked to me because you're a trusted source for me when it
And I'm
comes
going to tell
down
you
to wanting
this.
to understand.
I'm going to give you a bigger, because I always tell people I try to be extremely transparent. And Henny, I will tell you, and I will tell everybody on this show, this is why I try to be careful about what I do and why we got to be careful about fake pictures being out there. There's a picture saying that the judge and the Metcalf family and the DR all in picture, that picture's false.
Right.
Number
And I
one.
spoke to that. I spoke to
Yeah.
that thinking it
Yeah.
was true and found out that it's not. So now I've got to go back, do another live and retract.
And the other thing about the parties in this case, I've worked with Dewey Mitchell before.
Mhm.
Um, um, Now I've worked with Mr. Worski. I don't have a lot of history with him. It's either hit or miss with him. I don't know. But I've worked
Right.
with Dewey Mitchell before, one of the prosecutors, and he's always been fair when it comes to me.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. We had a big case in my community in South Dallas when he was a Dallas district attorney. Very, very popular kid in the community was looking at a death penalty case. And he could have sought the death penalty against this kid. And nobody in the community was talking to him because they thought that if I talked to him, he might try to get death penalty on this kid. He
Right.
wasn't really trying to do that. He just wanted to talk to somebody. He knew I knew this athlete because I worked for another athlete.
Mhm.
And he said, Calvin, can you get somebody to talk to me? I'm trying to find some good stuff about this kid because I don't want to have to go do A, B, and C. I'm
Right.
giving you my word. I'm gonna look into this, and if you hear anything good, I'm not gonna go after that. I'm gonna try to do something else with him. He gave me his word. He got the information. He didn't go bad on the kid. The kid ended up, he got some time, but he didn't end up, he'll live. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he's fair. When it comes to John Roach, and I have to just be transparent. And I always told people I'm gonna be honest, and I think that I was raised to be this way. A lot of people might not like about what I'm going to say. When I very first started practicing law, I went to St. Mary's University School of Law. John Roach came down to visit. I saw him. I knew he was working in Plano. I knew he was a private attorney. I
Mhm.
said, hey, Mr. Roach, can I come to your office? Can you show me a few things when I get back to Texas, get back to Dallas? Yeah, come see me when you get back to Dallas. And some people say that, then you call them, they don't answer the phone. So I
Right.
called him. He said, come to my office. Come have lunch with me. So I came to have lunch with him. I heard you're opening your own office. I said, yeah. And I said, but I don't have no money. I got a little money here and there. He said, look, come work with me for a week. I'm going to pay you something. And come to the Collin County Courthouse. I'm going to walk you around the courthouse. I'm going to introduce you to every judge in this courthouse. And I'm going to walk you in their offices in the back, and we're going to go talk to them, and they're going to get to know you. I'm going to walk you around and introduce you to every last one of these judges. And then I'm going to help get you on a court appointed list so you can make some money. And I'm going to, once every 3 months, come have lunch with me. I want to see how your law office is going. I want to see if you're doing okay. Make sure you're doing everything right. Make sure you're comfortable practicing law. If you don't know how to do something, call me. I'll tell you how to do it.
Mhm.
I didn't ask this man to do all that for me. He just did it for me.
Mhm.
He did all of that for me. This young black kid from South Dallas, my law office was open in South Dallas, and he was all the way up there in Plano. So I tell people, you got to be careful what you say about people and what you do about people. Now, if you want to call somebody racist and they this, and that, say what you want to say. But I'm a real one. If somebody does something for me, I'm going to tell you. If I have an experience with somebody, I'm going to tell you. Even if the whole world don't like him and somebody does something for me and they do it from the bottom of their heart, and it's not the popular thing to do, because right now, saying this about him is not the popular thing to do. But I'm not like my grandmother raised me the right way.
Right.
You stand alone, but you do the right thing. And that's what I'm doing right now. That man, as far as I know, he didn't have to help some young black lawyer from South Dallas. And plain old, he wasn't going to get nothing from me, but he did it. So I try to tell people, all this stuff you say about folk, you got to be careful what you say about people. And at the end of the day, it's more of the jury making decision on what they're going to do.
Right.
And this is a very unfortunate situation. The other part of it is, I see a lot of comments from black people and white people. I finna really go there right now. Man, what's wrong with us? 18-year-old, 17-year-old. One person got killed, one kid doing 35 years. Man, there was no winners in this.
Absolutely not.
Nobody won anything. Well, some white folks are celebrating because the guy got convicted, and some black people mad because Karmelo went to jail. Man, I'm not happy for nobody and no side for doing nothing, because this is just absolutely ridiculous. These parents had these kids, raised them to when they were 17 and 18 years old. One of them dead. He will not bear his kids, his parents, any grandchildren or children. And the other one is going to jail for 35 years and will not be able to have any children or grandchildren to them. And what are we doing? I mean, what are we doing? And this kid is scared. I'm looking at Karmelo Anthony. I'm looking at his face. Man, that young man's scared.
He is. You could see it.
I see it in
You could
his
see it.
face, man. It was hard for me to sleep last night because at the end of the day, I'm always a black man first. I'm
You
a
know,
black man first. And I understand that hurt to watch that happen. Man, that man's scared. Think about that.
yeah, my heart aches for both parents in this situation. And I think for me, there is a certain amount of outrage that comes with a case like this because of all the outside influence on the case, you know, all the rhetoric and the talk. And it's hard not to get triggered when people are so outright and blatantly saying things. So it's pulled on me mentally and emotionally, this whole thing. I'm gonna ask one more question, then I'm gonna drop down.
Mhm.
Why wasn't it manslaughter on the onset and added at the last minute before the jury was sent back?
Because ultimately, you have to really think about one thing. It was a stab to the heart. It was allegedly a push and then a stab to the heart. Nobody else said it was anything else. With Karmelo not speaking on it, when you push somebody and you stab them to the heart with a knife, that's could be considered a murder. If it's going to be a manslaughter, it's going to be up to you to show it was a manslaughter, that you didn't have the intent to kill the person. But if you sit there the whole trial and don't say anything, then they're going to start with murder. And if the jury wants to find something lower than that, then that's what they're going to do.
Okay, so that kind of makes sense. I could sit up here and ask you questions all night because there's a lot of questions that were asked of me. Um, I'll try to talk to you behind the scenes, but thank you so much for having me up, Mel. Um, I'll be sure not to be a stranger.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much for answering the questions. I appreciate you.
All
All
right.
right, y'all.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. We have Grumpy in the building. Grumpy has some
Calvin,
questions for you,
it is
Calvin.
a true honor, my friend. It is a true honor to see you in person. Hey, I still think
Thanks.
it looked great in the plaques. Texas State Supreme Court Justice. It would be totally amazing in your future, you know.
I hope so.
only real question I have is, do you actually have a page for your youth group so we can find donators for you to help out the youth?
Well, we do 4D athletic circuit training. That's what we do is Coach Steve Montgomery and his Ring of Hope Boxing South Dallas. So between 4D athletic circuit training and Ring of Hope Boxing South Dallas, that's what we do.
All right. So yeah, now I can find, because I like helping out the youth and getting them off doing other things. Because when I was a kid, we had community youth groups through the police departments and all that. They brought the kids in, got you off and doing bad things. So I like helping out with youth groups. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
but still, though, in your future though, Texas State Supreme Court Justice, everybody vote for it.
All right. I hope so. I hope so. But listen, at the end of the day, y'all, we all have to do better. We have to be better. And I just hate all of this happen because there are truly no winners at the end of the day.
Okay, so we have, her name is Neek Nubian, I believe. Would you like to speak up now?
Neek, how you doing?
Yes, sir, I would. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Hi.
Calvin, for accepting my call today.
Yes.
I did just have just a few questions that I would like to ask you. For one, I am a North Dallas resident, so I am, somewhat in the area. And
Yes.
so my first question would be, we know that Karmelo was out on bond for 1 year. And
Mhm.
so as an attorney, what would you have recommended your defendant to be doing during this time in regards to preparation for trial? And maybe Mel can speak more towards that portion, but it just seems like he wasn't really very active within his own defense. And so I just wanted to hear from your perspective, what would you recommend that really should have been occurring during that year while he was out on bond?
I think it was very hard for him to do anything because he was so high profile. He couldn't really move around a lot because everybody knew who he was. So he couldn't really engage with any other additional people because of what he was charged with. I think they had a leg monitor on him. I think you would try to get him ready to testify if he had to. But I think typically these young people, if I know young people like I know them right now, and I'm going to tell you because I'm a lawyer and I deal with a lot of young people, especially the young people from the ages of 16 to 22, 16 to 25. A lot of these young people have horrible social media etiquette. They get on social media with drugs, guns, videos. They try to be hard. They either have a bunch of cussing, a bunch of dope, a bunch of guns, a bunch of disrespectful stuff. They try to be all about their life on their social media. They try to show how tough they are. They got all kind of stuff that kind of hurts them if they ever had to go to trial. So I think a lot of people's cell phone video, social media life video, a lot of their TikTok, Instagram, all that other stuff that they do, Facebook stuff. I think a lot of that stuff hurts them. So even before he got in trouble, they probably had a lot of stuff that was going to hurt them. And so he can't really do a lot outside of just stay out of trouble and kind of stay out the way and get prepared to testify if he had to. But I think that was it. But then I just think there had to be some reason he couldn't testify. And I've had situations where I couldn't have my client testify because either he had other stuff to worry about, like other crimes, or his social media and cell phone activity and social media app activity was too bad.
Okay. And my last question, then I'll go ahead and drop down. I know other people may be trying to come up as well. But and I know that we're still waiting for more information to come out at this point. But why didn't we hear more about the investigation process and what was involved? It didn't really seem to be, according to the reports as of now, it didn't really seem to be much information expressed during the proceedings about what actually all went into the investigation portion of it.
Well, I think a lot of that the state puts out there, but ultimately the state just wants to make sure that they get to the point of where the person got stabbed by the knife, because Karmelo basically admitted he stabbed him. So they're not going to put a lot of that out there. The defense is going to want to put a lot of stuff out there. But with that being said, ultimately it's going to come down to, we can investigate all we want, but you got to get down to the nitty gritty. What happened under the tent? Who was in the tent? Who saw it? What did they see? And if Karmelo said, I did it, can he give us a reason why he did it? And under what circumstances did it happen? And was it justified? And we can talk about investigations all we want, but I think at the end of the day, when you try a case like that, you're going to get down to the nitty gritty, and that's what it's going to be about. And I think that's where all the focus went. And I think if you're the state, that's where you're going to focus. We ain't going to talk about much else. And if you're the defense, if you have problems there, then you're going to have a problem there. But I think that's where they probably had a problem. Because at the end of the day, if Karmelo can't testify, that's a problem, because he got to tell everybody, I'm sorry. If, and this is for everybody, if you're listening, you can agree with me or not agree with me. Somebody kills my son. We go to trial. 12 people walk in. That is classmates that saw somebody kill my son. 2 other people saw it, but they were not as close. They saying something different. Everybody testifies. And when it comes time for me, the killer, to testify, I don't testify. And you let the killer of my son walk? No, it's not going to happen. And let's take color out of it for a minute. Do you think that that would work for you? I'm going to tell y'all, if somebody was to kill my son and I go to a jury trial, we go to a jury trial, and 12 of his classmates saw it, and 2 other people saw it, but they didn't really see it that good, and the killer didn't testify and he walks, I don't know, y'all. I'm not going to, I'm going to have a comment. I can't say what I want to say because I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say what I want to say because I'm a lawyer.
Yeah, because that's just kind of, what I was wondering, and it already kind of connected back to what you said about the cell phone, because I was wondering what happened to Karmelo's cell phone. Because we know that he had it, upon entry, and sitting down under the tent, and he was holding the phone, as some people said, but the phone just kind of disappears at that point. So like you were saying, maybe there was some connection with some things in his phone that they did not want to come out. Because I was wondering what happened to the cell phone.
There might be some things in all these kids' phones that they didn't want to come out, because I don't think
Right.
I don't think they talk about any of these kids' phones, because I think a lot of them probably had a lot of junk on it, and they probably said, you know what, we ain't gonna talk about what's on these kids' phones because it's gonna hurt all of us. And it's probably what happened, because that's very, very realistic nowadays, because these kids, I've seen some crazy stuff on these phones, especially with my clients. Oh my God, they be gang on these videos.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for answering my question. I appreciate you all for letting me up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Have a good night.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Who else we have?
Okay, so we have, I think it's Remedy. Go ahead. Ask your question.
All right, so Calvin,
Can't hear you.
y'all can hear me?
I can hear you. Calvin
Okay.
can.
Okay,
Go
tell
out
me
and
what
come
she
back
asked.
in.
Go ahead and ask the question, and you can tell me what she asked you.
Ask your question. What's your question?
All right, so I'm struggling with the self-defense law, or how they constitute it, but I know that they're saying that it has to be equal force. And I also know that they look into your background, maybe your social media, your character when you go into court. But when it's self-defense, say a person provokes you or they initiate the fight, they even hit you first, and then you end up fighting them, and we fight to the blood, we will fight, we want to see blood, we want to hurt someone. They then turn around and claim that they fear for their lives, and then they severely injure you or kill you. I feel like the self-defense law could in some way justify that, even though that person initiated it. Just say someone, me, I'm a person that I'm not gonna let anyone attack me or do
Could
anything
you
to
break
me.
her question down, Mel?
And I don't
Okay,
have
so give me 1 second. While I break it down to him, I want you to go out and come back in. All right.
okay.
All right. Thank you. So she struggles with the self defense law. You know, you have to respond with equal force.
Hmm.
And in that process, someone could die. Okay. So she can't understand. She feels like, I know you're saying he went overboard, but it's quite possible in this whole, return, if I swing back on you and you fall back and hit your head on a pole and that's it, it's still the same difference, but it was all a fight. I didn't introduce a weapon.
But you did introduce a weapon. That's the issue. So it's not really all the same. If you punch me and I punch you and you fall down and hit your head and die, we punched each other, but it's different. But if you punch me and I take out a knife and stab you in the heart, you've introduced a deadly weapon that could uh, injure or kill somebody. Most people that get punched don't die. Somebody they get stabbed, they could get severely injured or they could die. So typically, that's what happens. So you're able to respond with like force. Self-defense is like an affirmative defense. You're saying that, yes, I did what y'all are accusing me of, but I had a reason to do it and a valid reason to do it, a justified reason to do it. And in this situation, he wasn't able to justify a stab to the heart based on a push. And not only that, if there was more than a push, which a lot of us suspect that there was more than a push, he never said it. To this day, as big as this case is, the one striking thing that I think everybody needs to take from this, I've never heard Carmelo's voice. I don't even know how he sounds. I don't. And that's troubling for me. I don't know his side of the story. And that's troubling for me.
Yeah, I thought about that too, Calvin, but I'm speaking more in the realistic world. So not with Carmelo, but you and a person, the person initiates the fight with you and they punch you and you don't just hit them one time. You done messed up and you go to, beating them and you beating them bad and they pull out something and they kill you or they seriously hurt you. And then they claim self-defense. I fear for my life because the person was beating the crap out of them, right? But you initiated it. How does self-defense work in that moment? Because it kind of resembles, I think, the Trayvon Martin situation, like people keep speaking on. Like that Zimmerman guy initiated. Is he talking? Is he talking to me? Because can you hear him?
Can you hear her, Calvin? Maybe he's having trouble hearing you.
Yes.
Oh, okay. But yeah, he kind of
Okay, what? I can't still hear her, so I can't.
Oh, okay. All right. So I'm going to mute you for a second. I think I got it down. All
Okay.
right. So, Calvin, this is what she's saying. I initiate the fight. We get into it, right?
Hmm.
And then you start getting the best of me, beating. Then I kill you because you were about to take me out. She's trying to understand the whole self-defense. Is that close to what you're saying?
Yes, and so if I initiate the fight, it looks if I initiate the fight against you and you're fighting me back.
But I start giving you the beat down, then you turn around and kill me. You see, that's what she's trying to get at.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of a nuance there. Self-defense is you're allowed to defend yourself. You're not allowed to kill somebody because you're in a fight. So you got to be careful about that. So you're allowed to defend yourself to the point where you can get yourself to safety, get yourself safely out of there. That doesn't require you to kill somebody. So a lot of that is going to be nuanced, and it depends on the circumstances. And in the situation with Carmelo, the problem that I think he was always going to have is, number one, you got a knife in the area where you really ain't supposed to even have a knife at. Number two, everybody thinks there was at least a push. If there was something else, we don't know if it was something else. If there's something else, you got to tell us. If you're not going to tell us, then we got to go with the story of the push. If somebody pushes you, you don't get to stab him in the heart and kill him. And that's the problem. He wasn't going to be able to justify that, especially if he's not going to testify.
All right, so basically the law is set up
That's
where
why I always thought he was going to have a hard road to hoe.
I don't think he can hear me. Can you hear me, Mel?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay, he can't hear you. So
Yeah. So basically the law is set up to where, Mel, if you punch me, then literally I'm only allowed to, or I should only punch you back. Like I can't attack you full force because you punch me.
she's
Basically,
saying the law is, hold on, let me mute her. The law is set up that if you punch me, that I can only punch you back. I can't introduce a weapon. That's what she's saying.
Yes, basically, that's true. And that's just the way it is. Just the way the law is set up.
Okay. All right. Very good. So did you have any other questions?
I think I don't know. So not necessarily a weapon, but
Why
we're
you answer that question, Mel? I'm going to answer this one. Go ahead.
Okay.
He didn't find his own life. He allowed for other people to write a script. That's true.
so
That's
not
true.
necessarily
Let her go ahead and make a comment.
male, but
Yes.
using our hands. We're fighting. I feel like self-defense is set up to where they're saying if they push you, you push them back. If they push you, you don't get to punch. That's what I'm dealing with similarly. And I feel like there is a gap in between there. I feel like it's flawed because if you punch me and then I turn around and I attack you, we get into a fight because I punched you 6, 7, 8 times now. You turn around, you kill me, and you say, I feel like she was gonna kill me, but you initiated it. I don't understand.
Okay. So let me just transfer that to him before I conclude with you. So hold on one second. So
Mhm.
Calvin, she's saying you push me, I push you back, but I introduce a punch. You
Mhm.
can't. She said the law is flawed because it's push for push. I can't introduce a punch.
You can introduce a punch because it's physical contact. I can't introduce a weapon because a push is my hand. A punch is my hand. A knife is a sharp object that can knife in my body cause me to bleed. I could bleed out, have an internal injury. I could be harmed where I could be harmed for a long period of time. I can be injured permanently, or I could die. A punch, a push, you're allowed. But a deadly weapon is different.
Okay. So thank you very much for nice having you on. I look forward to having you on some more. Okay.
All right.
All
Let's
right.
get one more question, Mel, and I'm gonna have to roll.
All right. Very good. So we have DJ Genesis here.
What's up, DJ
Hey,
Genesis? How you doing? Tell us what
hey,
you
how's
got,
it going?
sis.
I actually have two questions, but
Sure.
I mean, I hope I can get the two out. All right, so this is the first question: is do you think that the speediness in which this trial was done was mainly because they closed off the court for other court cases, and so the judge felt pressure, and everybody felt pressure to wrap this up quickly, and that money was being lost by the court every day that they had that court like sequestered for that particular only case?
I think for safety reasons, you want to go ahead and get it done. I think you want to be efficient for safety reasons and just you want to be able to get people in and out. It was going to be a madhouse. You don't want people roaming around that courthouse. I think it's a safety issue. And I also think that a case like that, you want to get it done and get it over with. You don't want everybody roaming around that courthouse. And you weren't going to be able to get other business done. So I think that you close it off, you get it done quickly so you can move on. I think you got to do it that way.
And one last question. Why do you think that there were no other character witnesses at the end for Carmelo when they had to Why was it only his mother? Why didn't they call his brother, his family members, other classmates, teachers that could talk about his grades and how good of a student he was? Where's his coaches at? Why was it only his? Why would a lawyer not gather, or does that like actually cater to the fact that maybe Carmelo did not have any friends, or maybe he was kind of a like? Why would a lawyer only have one character witness at the end?
I don't know.
You
I
know.
guess maybe you would think that his mom would be the strongest advocate. I don't know why the other people were not called. I think it's tough because these coaches have relationships with other coaches. They have relationship with other people in that city. And a lot of people did not want to be connected with the killing of another student. And sometimes, even though that might be your student, a lot of those coaches sometimes didn't want to be involved in having to be pushed out in that particular situation to have to talk about that student like that. Some of the other friends being up there, it may water down the message of the mother. It just kind of depends on what you're trying to do and how you want to do it. I don't know why other people were not called, but like I said, that young man may have some other issues and we won't know and we don't know, unfortunately. I know you got the same questions a lot of people had. They were like, well, I just wish we would have heard more of him, but he might have had issues that we couldn't deal with.
Yeah, and then I think it makes the same question when it comes down to the witnesses. Only 3 witnesses called, and then goes right into resting your case. I think that they said they were waiting for someone to come that didn't come. It seems to me like they would have, but I mean, but people were saying that it's up to the prosecution to prove its case, but it seemed like to me that they would at least either had like some people that could like what's it called, like some professionals that could probably break things down, like I don't know, the
What do you mean
experts
it was
or
up to
something
prosecutors to what? To break stuff down?
to prove their case, not necessarily for the.
They don't have to do anything. Carmelo already said you have to remember, he already admitted, he said, yeah, I did it, but it was self-defense, so they don't have to prove anything. Carmelo, in a sense, when I say prove anything, they're going to use his own words against him because they do have the burden of proof. I'm not going to say they have to prove anything, but they don't have to bring experts to do that. They can actually use his own words to prove that. I'm not going to say they don't have to prove anything,
I was
but
thinking on the defensive side, like how come the defense? I think that they were people were saying that the burden of proof was on the
let me help y'all.
prosecution.
Let me help y'all. Yeah, the burden of proof is on prosecution. The reason why the defense didn't have a lot of witnesses, you don't want to tell you why? Y'all got to
Yeah,
remember.
yes. Why? Why?
Y'all got to remember. This is why you don't go in the other team's tent. Remember? You were playing an away game to begin with. You're in their tent. When you're in their tent, they got 15 of their teammates in the tent. And the only person you know in that tent is Eddie. And hell, Eddie turned on you. Your teammates are down the way. That's why I mentioned earlier, I was talking to a coach today. He said, nah, man, my players wouldn't even went to that tent. We didn't play that. When we had a meet, we stayed in our own tent. We didn't allow no fraternization with the other team until the meet was over.
You know what? So that means that his lawyer should have made him take a plea deal instead of even going to court to begin with.
We can't make anybody take a plea deal. And then on top of that, we don't know if they offered him anything decent that they wanted to take. The lawyer can't make anybody do anything. The defendant gets to pick what he wants to do. I've had people go to trial when I told them not to. I had a young man one time, I'll never forget this. He wanted to go to trial. This guy was selling drugs out of a drive-up motel. He had 3 Cadillacs with candy paint he had 3 Cadillacs with candy paint parked out front of a drive-up motel room with 24-inch rims with candy paint on them. They found all different kind of drugs inside of his room. He was close to the rent office where you pay your daily, nightly rent in. He had put flat screen TVs in the motel room. It was clear that what you're doing, you're basically advertising. They found all kind of drugs in the room. They had offered him 6 years. He had been in jail for 2.5. He would have been eligible for parole in 3 months if he took the deal. He decided to go to trial and got popped for 4, 5, 6 times that because he was 25 to life because he was a 4-time loser. I told him to take the deal because he probably would have been able to get out in about 6 months. And he got caught with all kind of stuff in that room. And he was doing it all out in the open. But I could not make him take a deal, even though the state had all that evidence. He decided to make a bad decision. So some of these cases, you're going to have defendants decide to do whatever they want to do. And you can't tell them what to do. I bet he would have gotten less time with a shorter probation application time. And they actually thought they could beat the system due to the race. So they denied the plea deal bet. Shorter probation application. I don't know what he's talking about with that. I don't know what he's talking about with that. Probation application. Nah. If you get probation, you get probation, but they were not offering probation on that situation. And I don't think that they thought that they could beat if he's not going to testify. It's about time blacks be held accountable for crimes versus whites. Proud Southern patriots. Let's not even go there. I'm not going to even talk about that and the vice versa of that. So we're not going to worry about it. Calvin, he has spoken up for himself. Do you think he would have helped him with a better verdict? Maybe, but remember, I suspect that he may have had some issues speaking up for himself because for those attorneys not to call him, I had to think back. For Mike Howard and especially Toby Shook as well, not to call him, he might have had some issues somewhere. So I had to go back and think that because I've had to think about my clients with their social media and cell phone issues. And sometimes their nervousness issues or their inability to be able to handle direct or cross-examination. Maybe that was the issue. Especially the social media and cell phone stuff nowadays is tough. So I'm having a lot of problems with that, y'all. But listen, unfortunately, I'm going to have to go. Mr. Johnson, I heard another defense attorney that they don't like having their clients testify. Is there a reason for that? It depends on the client. Sometimes clients won't do well. But that is what it is. But y'all, listen, we're going to be doing this again on Sunday night, 6 p.m. New York time. 7 p.m. New York time, 6 p.m. Texas time. We're going to see how the rest of this week goes. We're going to be reporting at least one more time on the Karmelo case. We'll be trying to figure out what's going to happen from here. And what we're going to do this Sunday is talk about, number one, what do we learn from Karmelo? And how do we keep ourselves out of the Karmelo type situations, right? So tune in Sunday night to the weekly legal review with Mel and Calvin Johnson on Watching the World 777. For those who want to get in contact with me, I can be reached at 214-565-5600, or I can be reached at my website, theywon'tletmeout.com, or I can be reached at attorneycalvindjohnson@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Till the next time.
Different voices, but the same song. Living a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, breaking the chains. In the symphony of love, the thing remains. Embracing diversity, brighter days in sight. Watching the world sharing love and light. Peaceful flight, colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony, painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.